Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Dennis Brown, and this is my weekly Freight Broker Bootcamp live training. I do every Monday at noon, and we have a lot of notes to go over today. Today, we're going to talk about the fear of failure and how to avoid let it crippling you as a freight broker or a freight agent. So that's what we're talking about today in today's Freight Broker training. I'm excited that you guys are here. Let's do a quick tech check. Make sure you guys can all hear me good, see me good, everything's going well on the tech front, and then hit me up in the comments with the city and state you're logging in from. We'll do some check-ins, we'll do some shout outs, and then we'll jump into the training. And then at the end, if you hold your questions all the way to the end, we're going to do a live Q&A. Okay, so we have a lot to go over. Boom, 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 lots of notes. Okay, so throughout this training, I'm going to be referring to the notes because it took me a while to put this together because I really wanted to get my thoughts organized in a way that was easy for you guys to consume and digest and make it actionable. Okay, so that's that's the goal today. All right. So without further ado, let's do some shout outs. Ember, welcome from Houston, Texas. Sergio from Miami, Florida. Betty Jones from Wilson, North Carolina. Tyron Lee from Atlanta, Pedro from West Palm, Philip from Queens, New York, and Henry, welcome from Cali. Betty Jones, oh, you cannot hear me. Can the rest of you hear me? Let me know if you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Hoping that there's not a sound problem here. Hold on a minute. Okay. So Betty, it must be an issue on your end because other people can hear me. So I think it might be an issue on your end. Double check your speaker setting or volume or whatever. Okay, good. So other people can hear me. So that's good. All right, cool. So we're going to let a few people get live. And again, we'll do some shout outs. Hit me up in the comments with the city and state you're logging in from. Scott Taylor from Lubbock, Texas. Welcome. Man, am I white? I need to get out in the sun. Look at that. I'm glowing. I'm so white. Well, it's about to get nice up here the next few days. So I'm probably going to get in the sun and get a little bit of a tan here to get rid of this vampire-like complexion that I have going on. Yep, Betty, your speaker was down. It's okay. No problem. No worries. All right. So again, we're going to let a couple more people get live and then we'll get the show on the road. And again, today we're talking about the fear of failure and how to not let it cripple you as a freight broker or freight agent. All right, so we're going to talk about, and then you're going to walk away with some actionable tips on how to stay motivated, even in the face of fear, because it's everybody struggles with this as a startup, whether you're a broker, an agent, or not, in virtually every business. John from Johnstown. That's kind of funny. John Heller from Johnstown, PA. Won't forget that one anytime soon. All right, guys. So let me review my notes really quick, and then we'll get the show on the road, okay? And remember, here's the agenda. I'm going to do the training. Then there's going to be a live Q&A at the end. So if you do have questions about this training or anything to do with starting or growing a successful freight brokerage or freight agency, stick around to the end, but hold your questions until I say go, because again, there's going to be a lot of questions. There's almost always more questions than I have time for. So hold your questions. And then when I say go, get it in there right away if you really need to get that question answered, because if it falls to the bottom of the list, it may not get answered this week. So that's my suggestion to you. That's my tip. After doing hundreds of these, I know how they go. Okay, so quick drink and we're off to the races. Okay, guys, here we go. Have you ever felt like the freight broker business isn't the right business for you, or that you're not in the right place? Well, I'm going to share a quick story with you. When I first got started back in 2003, I had zero experience. Okay. And while I hid it from everybody around me, I was deathly afraid to fail. Okay. I had a lot riding on this business, but I didn't let it cripple me. And I dove in head first and off we went. And so, what I want you to understand is that the fear of failure isn't a sign that you're not ready. It's just a sign that you're human, because everybody experiences fear and the fear of failure, whether that be in your relationships, whether that be in sports, whether that be in school, whether that be in as an entrepreneur or a freight broker or a freight agent. Okay. So that's what we're going to talk about today in this freight broker training. What we're going to talk about is how to manage that fear and stay motivated even when things aren't going your way, even in the face of fear. So that's what we're going to talk about today. All right. That's what we're going to talk about in today's freight broker training. So first, let's start with this. Why does the fear of failure hit freight brokers? Why do freight brokers and freight agents struggle with the fear of failure? Well, there's several reasons, but one of the biggest one is, as a business owner, right? As an independent freight agent or as a licensed freight broker, there's no safety net. There's no weekly paycheck that, your boss is just going to hand you, or that gets direct deposited every week, right? So there's no safety net, and you're building from scratch. Typically you're building, you have maybe have some relationships, maybe you don't, but it's building from scratch and it's starting something from scratch. So there's no safety net. All right. Number two, the pressure of getting your first customer, your first load, your first profit, it's significant. There's a lot of pressure there. I remember the first load I ever did for the first client. I remember everything about it because it was so monumental for the business. And the fact is, rejection is a daily occurrence in almost any business, but particularly the freight brokerage business or in a service-based business. Okay. The reality is that the freight brokerage business is a sales-oriented business. It's a sales-driven business. And some people are very uncomfortable with that. All right. Some people are very uncomfortable with the sales concept. And so the key takeaway here is that fear isn't the enemy. Okay. Fear isn't your enemy, but letting it control your actions is. Okay. So letting it control what you do or what you think or how you navigate challenges, that's the enemy. Okay. So I'm going to share with you a few signs that fear, okay, the fear of failure and the fear of rejection is slowing you down. All right. Have you ever found yourself procrastinating? Okay. Maybe procrastinating on making prospecting calls or procrastinating on making follow-up sales calls to different shippers as a freight broker, freight agent. Have you ever procrastinated? That's a surefire sign that, there's some fear holding you back. All right. Next, a lot of times people will get over prepared, right? They get paralysis by analysis, right? And they fail to take action, right? They focus on, it's ready, set, ready, set, ready, set. They never get to go, right? It should be ready, set, go. But they never get to go because they're always preparing the next step, and that's holding them back. That's a surefire sign that fear is holding you back. All right. The other one is a really big one that I've talked about many, many times before: comparing yourself to others. Now, I call it, and I coined the term compare-itis. Compare-itis has killed many a freight broker and freight agent startup, because they're comparing their chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 8 or 9 or 10, right? You can't compare where you are today as to the fortunate success that I had in my business, that took me years to achieve. Now, if you compare both of our day ones, then you're going to find a lot of similarities because, again, like I told you, admittedly, I was deathly afraid to fail. All right. Is there anybody in the audience here listening today that has a fear of failure or has struggled with that in the past, hit me up in the comments and let me know if you guys have struggled with that type of an issue in the past, because I'm going to tell you that most people have in startup land. I would tell you that 7, 8, 9 out of 10, probably somewhere between 7 to 9 out of 10 people should be raising their hand, because the fear of failure can really, really set you back, and it can literally cause you to fail if you don't learn how to manage it. All right. So I'm going to share with you three very actionable tips on how to stay motivated even in the face of fear. So again, this is specifically for people that are maybe startup freight brokers, startup freight agents that are really just trying to get some momentum and trying to get some synergy going and get that first customer, that first load, get through that first 6 months and start generating some profit. And so that's really who I'm talking to right now. So number one on the list is you need to shift your paradigm here a little bit on, it's more of a focus on progress versus perfection. All right. A lot of people struggle with this because they want everything to be perfect, right? They want it to be textbook. And you need to start thinking about things as progress over perfection. And so one of the ways to do that, or a couple ways to do that, is to really track your activity, track your daily activity. And then what you want to do is focus in on the activity, not just the results, right? So rather than sales made or loads moved, you want to focus on calls made or emails sent, okay? So you want to focus in on that action, not the results. And then secondly, you want to focus on the win of the day, not necessarily winning the game, right? It's winning one inning, not winning the entire game. It's winning one day, not winning the year. Okay. So when I say that, you need to focus in on these micro wins, these small wins. And so my suggestion is you keep, as you get started up, if you're struggling with fear, start an action journal, right? Keep it simple. Doesn't need to be crazy. You can put it in a spreadsheet or on the back of a piece of paper or a notebook, right? Take an action journal and document what you're doing every day, but focus on the wins, right? The wins are, you made 50 calls today. You sent 20 emails, right? Focus in on the activity, not just the results, and then document it. Because what's going to happen is those small wins are going to build your momentum. And that momentum is very, very powerful when it comes to launching your business. Okay. So that's number one. You need to focus on progress over perfection. Number two, you need to reframe the concept of rejection. Okay. Rejection is something that everybody fears. Nobody, inherently rejection is like one of those things that's built into our DNA. Okay. Most people are just deathly afraid of being rejected. Maybe it's nature, maybe it's nurture, whatever the case may be. Maybe it's a learned trait. Maybe it's inherited. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but what I can tell you is you need to start thinking about and framing rejection differently. So you need to start thinking about every no as a part of the process leading to success. Getting a no is not a measure of your self-worth. And I think that's what a lot of people do. They have a tendency to take that rejection or take that no and put the pressure and frame it as it's a reflection of their self-worth. And it's not in any way. So you need to learn how to focus in on reframing that no and realize that it's getting no is just part of the process. It's 100% a part of the process, right? You need to think about what you're really doing is you're planting seeds. What you're doing in sales is you're planting seeds. It's really what you're doing, right? You're not begging for freight. You're not trying to close the sale. You're planting seeds. And so, not every seed is going to germinate, just like if you plant something in your garden. And some of the ones that do germinate are going to die on the vine, but others are going to flourish and thrive. And those are going to be your customer relationships. All right. And those customer relationships can last for many, many years and generate millions of dollars. But the fact is, you need to start thinking about your sales process as planting seeds and not focusing on just getting yeses and sales. All right. And so my suggestion to you is set a rejection goal, set a no goal, set a goal for the day of how many no's you're going to get. Because what it's going to do is it's going to help to take some of the sting out of hearing no and out of being rejected, because you're focusing in on it. Because what you know is that if you do the work and you take the actions and you have a quality and quantity combination of this prospect of doing sales outreach, what's going to happen is for every 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 no's, it'll vary from person to person, what you're going to find out is you're going to get a yes. And so once you understand that ratio, once you understand that, then all of a sudden now your confidence is going to go through the roof and you're going to start building momentum. So again, my suggestion to you as it relates to this reframing rejection is to start a rejection goal, start a no goal. Maybe you want to set it, where we get 5 no's a day. Okay. Focus in on those no's and it'll take the sting out of that rejection. Because remember, what we're trying to do is we're trying to stay motivated even in the face of fear. All right. And then number 3, connect with others. Don't try to be the hero. Don't try to be the Lone Ranger. Okay. Even the Lone Ranger had Tonto, right? So connect with others. Isolation equals discouragement. When you're isolated on an island by yourself, it's easy to get sad. It's easy to lose motivation or inspiration. It's easy to lose yourself, right? In fear. And so isolation equals discouragement. So what you want to do is you want to join groups and you want to find a mentor and you want to talk to other freight brokers and freight agents, because what's going to happen is with that community, you're going to find support. One of the best communities that I know of is for freight brokers and freight agents is LinkedIn, right? Going to LinkedIn, setting up a free account. There's thousands of brokers, thousands of agents, all shapes and sizes, all different experience levels, all different niches, all different success levels. And so connecting with them and developing a network and a community of those people is virtually invaluable for you as a freight broker startup. Okay. So my suggestion to you is, again, start building a community, finding and connecting with people, and then ask them a simple question like, hey, what helped you push through in your first 90 days of business? When you were a new freight broker, you were a new agent, what did you do in that first 90 days to push through and to stay motivated, right? To get your first shippers and start generating revenue. So those are just a few suggestions, again, on how to stay motivated even in the face of fear. Whether you're a freight broker or a freight agent, everybody struggles with this. Okay. Trust me, everybody struggles with this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, hit me up in the comments. Let me know if you've ever struggled with the fear of failure or the fear of rejection, right? And staying motivated. And listen, I appreciate you guys being here. If you guys are looking for help on freight broker startup or freight broker agent, I've trained over 10,000 students through my Freight Broker Bootcamp online training program. Had that program since 2009, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. So if you want to check that out, just go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Again, takes you 60 seconds to get enrolled. You get instant access to the most cost-effective and comprehensive online freight broker and freight agent training program. Okay, cool. So that was a lot of information in a short period of time. I think that whole thing took about 15 minutes. Which is good timing. So let's take a look at who gave me some feedback here on the fear of failure. Who's going to be honest, right? Who's going to be honest? Who's going to be transparent? Who's going to be honest about this, right? So Betty says, I say the same thing, planting seeds. Yep. Cynthia from Maryland's checking in. Yep. Scott says he struggles with it daily. I think there's a lot more people that are struggling with the fear of failure, the fear of rejection that are acknowledging here in the comments, right? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I've trained thousands of brokers and agents, and I would tell you that 7 to 9 out of 10 struggle with it at some level, right? Some are just petrified and frozen. They can't move, right? Others, it's always in the back of their mind. And so that's why I put this training together today. What my goal was is for you guys to walk away with not only a better understanding of what causes this fear, but some actionable tips on how you might be able to stay motivated, because I know that when fear stares you in the face, sometimes it's tough to stay motivated. You know, we've all been there. I promise you, I told you my story. When I first got started, I had zero experience. I probably know less right now than you know than when you first got started. And so I had the comparaitis going on. I had the fear of failure. I was definitely afraid to fail. I had a brand new wife. I just gotten married 6 days earlier. Got married on September 27th. Incorporated the Freight Brokers on October 3rd. Yeah, trust me, my new bride was expecting, me to do big things. And while she fully supported me, that put a lot of pressure. So I understand where you're at. I promise you, I've been there. Yep. Henry, afraid of loads from east to west. Got you. Yep. Cross-border stuff. Afraid of failure. Yep. Definitely a struggle. Yep. I'm just looking at some of the comments here. Okay, listen, guys. I really appreciate you guys stepping up and being transparent, being honest. Acknowledging it is kind of the first step for you. Take some of these tips that I shared today, apply it, and I hope it helps you stay motivated even in the face of fear. So let's jump into Q&A. If you have questions, if you've already typed the question, retype it in the comments. Hit me up really quick. If you want this question to get answered quickly, get your question in now. Again, we'll have more questions than we'll have time for. I'm probably going to try to do maybe 15 or 20 minutes of Q&A, and then we're going to wrap it up for the day. The sun is out. I already told you I look like a vampire, so I'm probably going to go out. My daughter's home from school, from college, and so probably going to go out by the pool, hang out with her, maybe eat a little lunch, and get a little sun. So let's see what we got here. All right, DSN says, how do we find and choose a brokerage to work with as a freight agent? What to watch for, and how much is a fair commission to that brokerage? Okay. Or well, you're not going to pay the brokerage a commission, but you're going to have a commission split. So here's what I'm going to give you. Let me give you, I'm going to give you a download. You're going to love this. This is a cheat sheet. Let me see if I can find this really quick. I'm pretty sure. Hold on. Boom. 1 second. Hold on. I'm going to find this cheat sheet for you. What the heck is going on here? Hold on. Give me 1 second. Here you go. All right, guys. I told you I'd make it worth your while. Okay, so for those of you, this is 17 important questions to ask before joining a freight agent program. Okay, this is a cheat sheet that I put together. You guys are going to love. It's super popular. Okay, so I just put the link in the chat box. Okay, so you're going to see the link here in just a second. Make sure you click on that. You can opt in and then download it right away, and then you'll have full access to it. Okay, so. Oh, actually, here's the link. I can't put it in the chat box. Oh, I did put it in the chat box. So you guys have it in the chat box. I think the shortcut is, let me see. Yep, that's it. Okay, so we'll do this. Give me 1 second. Let me edit this. Oops. Okay, so there's kind of the shorter link. FreightBrokerBootcamp.com/17 questions. FreightBrokerBootcamp.com/17 questions. That's going to give you 17 questions that you should ask your freight broker before joining a freight agent program. Commissions, the second part of your question here was about commissions, right? And so typically the commission split for a new agent is typically a 50-50. So the agent will get 50, the broker will retain 50. The more experience you have, the bigger the book of business you have, that can go up to 55 or 60 or 65. You'll even see up to 70 or maybe even 75% sometimes, but 50 to 70% commission is very common for agents. Okay. So that's why the agent gig is the best gig in town. You have zero risk. And all you need to focus on is getting customers and moving your customers' freight, and you can make 50 to 70% of the profit on every dollar of profit generated. Okay, so it's the best gig in town. So hope that helps. Good question. I'm currently in the 20-day waiting period for FMCSA license to be active. What should I be doing during this time? Well, a couple things you could be doing is identifying your freight niche. What niche are you going to pursue, right? Are you going to be in the produce industry? Are you going to be in the steel industry? Are you going to focus on flatbeds? Are you going to focus on the Northeast or the Southeast or the Midwest? What are you going to focus on? Identifying your niche is probably something you want to focus in on. And then educating yourself about that niche. Who are the competitors? Who are the potential shippers, right? Who are the carriers in and around that niche? So doing your research, that's probably something good you could do. Setting up your home office or setting up your office would be a good idea. Making sure you have a good computer, make sure you got a good phone, make sure you got a good internet access, those basics, maybe a comfortable chair and desk. Beyond that, you're probably not going to want to start focusing on sales yet, but if you need you want to start developing your sales skills, maybe you're going to check out my YouTube channel and learn and focus in on some cold calling strategies, or how to use LinkedIn to build trust and generate leads that way. I mean, it really depends on what you're planning on doing for your outreach, right? If you guys are really looking for help with sales and you're looking for a sales coach, it's closed right now, but I do have my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program. So if you want to get on the wait list, that's an 8-week live coaching program where I take that piece of my brain, everything about freight broker sales, strategies, tactics, tools, my entire sales system that allowed me to do over $200 million as a freight broker. And I put it into a coaching program. It's sold out right now. You can't join, right? But it will reopen. And the only way you're going to get notified of that is if you're on the wait list. So it's free to get on the wait list. The program is not free. The program is not cheap. It takes and requires an investment on your part. So get on the wait list. Those are a few tips. I hope that helps. Give me 1 second. I'm looking for more questions. Okay. Tyron Lee says, can you be a broker and a driver at the same time? The answer is yes, but there are challenges, of course, right? A lot of those challenges are how much time can you commit to being a broker. I tell everybody, you can start a freight brokerage or a freight agency part-time, but you can't start it in your spare time. So if you think you're going to spend an hour on Monday and a half an hour on Wednesday and 2 hours on Friday, and you're going to do it in your spare time, probably not going to work, probably not worth your time or energy. Okay. But if you're saying, hey, I'm going to spend 2 or 3 hours a day, Monday through Friday, every day working on this business, right? Identifying, doing outreach to clients, networking with potential shippers on the dock, moving loads, doing quotes, all the things that freight brokers do, and you're going to do it consistently and you're going to do it part-time, it's doable. I've had plenty of students that have started their business part-time and then migrated into full-time eventually. But it is harder, right? It is harder because your focus is split. Some of the advantages you have as a driver is the fact that you're on the docks, shaking hands, talking to people. You know better than anybody what it takes to pick up and deliver on time in good condition with no problems. So while there are some challenges, you also have some advantages over me when I first got started. Okay? So I hope that helps, Tyron. Sergio, I just did LinkedIn. I'm going to learn how to surf the app and start creating connections to learn daily about topics and freight brokers. Good idea. Yeah, if you guys don't have a free LinkedIn account and you're serious about business, you're serious about becoming a freight broker, freight agent, you're a fool. You need to get on LinkedIn. It's not Instagram. It's not TikTok. It's not Facebook. It's a professional network where you can connect with other freight brokers and freight agents. You can connect with shippers. You can connect with carriers. You can connect with other entrepreneurs. You can connect with coaches, right? There's tons of people on. I don't even know, what is the hundreds of millions of people on LinkedIn worldwide. Okay. It's one of the most powerful B2B sales tools available, right? I've been on it since like 2010, 2011, right? I've generated well over $20 million in annual recurring revenue using LinkedIn alone without cold calling. So it's an extremely powerful tool. So you should absolutely be on it. Sergio, good job. Tyron, yeah, you can be an agent or a broker. Yeah, for sure. It's easier to be an agent than it is a broker part-time. Betty, I started out trying to get shippers with refrigerated and dry van loads. It wasn't working. I had to change my niche to flatbed and dump trucks. Okay, good. Well, that's fine. It's okay. That's part of the process. It's an evolution. You make micro adjustments as things evolve. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's smart. If you really if you were struggling to find success and you really committed to refrigerated and dry van and you couldn't find success, and then you researched another industry and you pivoted to that, or another niche and you pivoted to that, and now you're finding some success, kudos to you. That's what you should do as an entrepreneur. Make adjustments. Question, what do you advise for people who recently hired as a freight agent after graduating from Freight Broker Bootcamp? Okay, let me read that again. What do you advise for people who were recently hired as an independent freight agent after graduating Freight Broker Bootcamp? Well, what I suggest is identify your niche. Now you've got a broker you're working under, you're an agent. Okay, you got a contract with an agent. So identify your niche, make a list of potential prospects, and start selling. Okay. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Cash flow is like oxygen. Okay. If you don't have oxygen for a certain period of time, number one, you'll pass out. Number two, you'll die. And business is the same way. You need to generate cash flow in order for the business to move forward. And so typically you need to generate more cash than your bills start to stack up as an agent. So if you're doing this full time and you can't generate positive cash flow in your first 3 or 4 or 5 months, a lot of times that's when people have to quit and go take a job, go get a job again, right? So you have to start prospecting and focusing on getting clients like your life depends on it, because it does. Okay. So those are just a few tips. I mean, you're going to find your niche. You're going to build a list of potential prospects. I'm going to give you a place, because your next question is going to be, where do I go for prospects? I'm going to give you a place to go. If you guys are looking for a place to generate thousands of leads for free, go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/free leads. That is to Apollo. If you sign up at that link, you will not have to put your credit card in. All you need is an email. You can sign up. You can get access to almost any industry, any geography, different job titles, all of that. It's one of the best tools out there for identifying people in a niche, building a list of prospects. So you definitely want to check that out. It's absolutely free to get access to a lot of the data. And then if there's some data, like if you want somebody's cell phone number, you want the shipping manager's email address, you might, if you choose to, you could pay for that. But all of the other data is free. Okay. It's an incredible tool. It's still hard for me to believe that they give it all away for free. When I first started, they didn't give any of that away for free. These guys weren't even around. Apollo wasn't around, but there were other companies. And in order to get access to even the free data, it would cost you tens of thousands of dollars. Okay. Back in 2003. Now, almost all of it's free. It's crazy. I wish I had access to this data when I first started. Okay, scrolling. Okay, DSN says, as a freight broker, do I give my potential customer name of my business or the broker that I'll be working as a broker agent? Okay, so if you're a freight agent, okay, you're going to be working under a licensed freight broker. So you are the agent. Personally, you're the agent. Now, you may have an LLC or a corporation or whatever you have there, but you're going to be working under the authority of a licensed broker. So you're going to use their brand when you represent yourself to shippers and carriers. Why? Because you don't want to create a lot of confusion. Your LLC or corporation really doesn't matter because you're not the broker. So they're going to vet the broker. They're not going to vet you, the agent, because you represent that broker. I hope that makes sense. Okay. So you are going to represent yourself as a freight agent under XYZ broker. Hope that helps. Evan, what's a strong way to reach manufacturers in Mexico? I'm focusing on cross-border logistics, heavy haul, expedited. Contacting somebody in Mexico or contacting somebody in the United States, it's the same thing. You really only have, you have 3 primary channels, okay? The phone, email, LinkedIn. Now you could do you could do trade shows, you could do conferences, you could go there face-to-face and travel. But the most realistic is going to be LinkedIn, email, and phone. And because of where we are today, those are all very easy. Technology's made it very, very simple for you to reach out to those people. And, tools like the one I just shared with you, right? Tools that I just shared with you, like freightbrokerbootcamp.com/free leads. They have, this database isn't just in the United States. This is worldwide. So if you want to build a lead database of prospects in Mexico, right? Based upon a certain geography, based upon a certain industry, based upon a certain company size, you can go there and do it for free. Most of the data is free. You can always upgrade and pay for other data, but it's optional. And if you sign up at this link, you don't even have to put a credit card in. It's crazy. It's pretty awesome. All right. Scott says, I think I've done everything I need in order to set up my company, but I have no idea how to move forward. If I get a call today, I wouldn't know what to do. Is there a set process from first call to getting paid? I use factoring. Okay. It's a good question. I'm going to send you a link. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. This will save you a bunch of time. Where is it? Hold on. Sorry. Come on. Give me 1 second. Okay. Here you go. Boom. Why is this thing so slow today? Jeez. Okay. Here you go. So here is a link. Okay. To a Google Doc. That Google Doc is a cheat sheet where I talk about the step-by-step process that is exactly what you asked for. How freight brokers make money step by step. From step 1, contacting the shipper, through all the way through step 17, which is getting paid by the shipper. Okay. Plus there's a link at the top to a YouTube channel where I do, or to a YouTube video where I do a video walkthrough. Okay. So any of you can get access to that. All right. It's free. Okay. I hope that helps. Give me 1 second. I'm scrolling, looking for a few more questions, and we're going to wrap up. Okay. What is the easiest niche for freight brokers, freight agents to jump into? Okay. The easiest niche is the niche that has probably the least amount of complexity, assuming that you have no experience in any type of equipment, right? Assuming you have no trucking or logistics experience at all, like me. The easiest niche is probably van loads. Okay. Now, I'm giving you van loads because it's a type of equipment and it's a way you can niche down, right? So probably what I did. When I first started, I decided I was going to do van loads, and I focused in on a geography that I knew well, which was the Northeast. And I said, everything that's coming out of the Northeast going west or south, if it went on a van, that was my niche. That's how I started. So you could do something like that. Now, just know, also, the van niche is probably one of the more competitive niches because there are more carriers and more brokers that focus on that niche than other niches. Why? Because it's easy. What you're going to understand is that as you add complexity to your niche, to your target market, there's less competition and typically more opportunity and margin. Now you have to start somewhere. So we started with van Northeast, and then we eventually started doing refrigerated, and then we did flatbed, and then we moved out of the Northeast, and then we started, doing some other geographies. And then eventually we did all kinds of stuff, drayage and heavy haul and cross-border and all kinds of stuff, right? So, but that was strategically done over time. But we started with a simple niche. It was easy for me to understand because that's where I was at the time. Okay, much like you. So I hope that helps. Yeah. Scott, it was sent, but I think it might have only sent to Facebook. I can't send you a direct message through this. So if we're on LinkedIn, shoot me a message and I'll try to send you that link. Just remind me what you were looking for and I'll try to send you that link. Okay. And anybody else that's on LinkedIn that's looking for that, I don't think it went to LinkedIn. Yeah. For some reason, those messages don't go to LinkedIn. They go to Facebook and they go to YouTube, but they didn't go to LinkedIn. I don't know why. Okay. Okay. Another question. If a freight broker agent decides to run under his own MC, do I have to set up all my customers over again? Will brokerage that I'm leaving let me take my customers? Okay. So if you're a freight agent working under a freight broker, and then you decide that you're going to set up your own freight brokerage, you're going to get your own freight broker license, you're going to part ways with that other freight broker, and you're going to start operating under your own freight broker license. So at that point, you won't be an agent, you'll be a broker. So that's part one. Part two, is that broker that you're working under as an agent going to allow you to take the customers? Well, they are if you don't sign a no-back solicitation or non-compete as a part of an agent agreement. Any good, solid brokers that have an agent program do not require their agents to sign a non-compete or a no-back solicitation, okay? That book of business that you build as an agent should be portable if you wanted to go to another brokerage or if you wanted to start your own brokerage. So when you set that relationship up with the brokerage, make sure that you don't agree that you can't leave with your customers. Now, you shouldn't be able to leave with their customers, but you should be able to leave with your customers if you choose. Okay? So that's all part of the setup process. That's part of those 17 questions that I sent the link to you so you could download that. That's definitely part of them. So I would definitely review that. Okay. Sorry to ask this question. I haven't been able to access my LinkedIn account due to an identification issue. Have you ever experienced something like this? LinkedIn does not let me verify my ID. I have not. I don't know. My suggestion is if you can't get access to it, set up another account for free. Just use a different email address. That'd be my suggestion. That's what I would do. Right? If you can't get access to it and you've kind of went through all the options to try to verify and get access to it, I just set up a new account. But again, I guess it's easy for me to say. It depends upon how established your account is, how many connections you have, that sort of thing. So I'm not trying to say it lightly, but if it's a brand new account, you don't have a lot of connections there and you lost access to it for whatever reason, try to work through their support team. And if you can't get help with that for whatever reason, then I would just set up another account with a new email. Hope that helps. Okay, Gina asks, for either DAT1 or Truck Stop, do both load boards have integrated TMSs with the shippers as well Do they both generate necessary paperwork? Okay. Shippers, the DAT and truck stop do not focus on building a TMS for shippers. They focus on building a load board and tools for brokers and carriers. Okay. So that's part A. Part B is, do they generate the necessary paperwork? Well, TruckStop has, their dispatch in kind of brokerage software, and DAT has their brokerage and software. They both have a little bit different features, but they achieve the same goal, right? So they're helping brokers manage the process from cradle to grave of, as it relates to moving their freight, right? Including quoting, including dispatching, including billing, including, vetting carriers, including rate confirmations, all that. Now, I haven't used either one of their TMSs or either ever personally, because I built my own TMS, right? And I don't recommend that because I spent over $1 million developing that and it became a black hole. It was a great tool, but it's unnecessary in this day and age. So I hope that answers your question, Gene. I know I was kind of giving you a bit of a brain dump there, but I hope that helps. If you got a follow-up question, let me know. Okay, we're going to wrap up here in a minute. Okay, tips for establishing credit with Ansonia and other transportation credit bureaus. Here's my tip. My tip to you is go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/broker credit. I just put it in the chat box. If you guys go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/broker credit, you will get access to a free credit building training. Now, a friend of mine, the CEO of Operify, which is a factoring company, well-known factoring company in the industry, they have a freight broker credit training program that they normally charge $250 for. But you will get it for free if you go through this link because I have a relationship with them. So they give it to my community and to my members for free. All you got to do is go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/broker credit. At least I think that's it. Let me just double check so you guys don't come back and get mad at me. Yeah, that's it. You guys will be able to get free access to the Master Broker Credit course. And again, it's absolutely free, costs you nothing. It's very, very good. I walked through it. I did not create this training, but I vetted it. I went through the entire training. He makes some incredible points to help you go from no credit to start building your credit. And there's a lot of things that brokers do wrong. One of the big things they think is going to help their credit, and when it's not done properly, it can actually hurt their credit, is quick pays. So he dives into that in detail in that training. So you guys can get access to that training for free. Okay? Hope that helps. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. Appreciate you guys being here. If you guys enjoyed this training, I need you to do two things right now. Number one, hit the like button. If you learned one thing today, hit the like button right now. Do it. Go ahead, hit it. And then hit me up in the comments with a rating from 1 to 10. 1 being, Dennis, this sucks. You're terrible. I never want to watch you again. 10, this is awesome. I'm going to come back next week for another training. Anywhere in between. If it's anything below an 8, give me some feedback on why. Tell me what I did wrong. Tell me what I could do better. Okay, that's the goal. So hit me up in the comments and let me know where you guys are at. If you learned anything, again, hit the like button. Give me some feedback. I do appreciate it. It's what keeps me coming back every week, week after week, doing these trainings for free. Nobody else does this shit, just so you know. Nobody else is doing these trainings for free every week. I've been doing these for years, okay? I give away more free training than I give away better training than most of the freight broker training courses out there charge you for. And I give it away every week. Okay. Good feedback. Okay, cool. Thank you, Betty. Always a 10. Thank you. Jenny, 10. Scott, 10. Eclectic Rose, 10. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Listen, if I sucked, feel free to tell me. I have thick skin. Rejection and no's don't don't hurt me. It's one of my superpowers. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much. So I'm glad that this topic really helped, because I was debating on whether this is something you guys really wanted to talk about. Obviously, being crippled by the fear of failure, but I hope that some of those tips, go back and replay this if you need some, if you need to listen carefully, what some of those tips were. But those are actionable tips that you can use to stay motivated, even in the face of fear. So have an awesome day. Have an awesome week. I'll see you next Monday on the next Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good one.